It seemed like a logical experiment. Project 25, as it's called, took a group of chronically homeless people, gave them a home, and got them treatment. The experiment worked, and it saved taxpayer money to boot. But 3 years later, the United Way-funded program is ending. Joining me to talk about why are Project 25 Director Mark Stevenson and Shana Gross, Vice President of Impact Strategies and Mobilization at the United Way of San Diego. Mark, who comes to Project 25 seeking help?
Well, the way that we identified the clients were to identify the most frequent users of the emergency services in the city of San Diego. The United Way, before they chose us to be the lead agency of Project 25, had already formed the collaborations needed to be able to get that kind of information, identify these folks. So we had a list of names, and what we did is form some collaborations in the community to perform outreach to locate these folks, because they weren't looking for help. They were going to the hospital and being on the streets and doing what they do, and they weren't looking for any additional help. They pretty much settled into that form of existence.
And what are some of their life circumstances? What are some of the challenges they're facing?
Almost anybody, well, actually all of the people in Project 25 have a mental health issue, at least two major physical health issues, and a ongoing and difficult substance abuse issue.
So let's take a look at someone who's in the program. His name is Hutch. He's an example of someone who doesn't really fit into other programs.
When I quit doing drugs, I turned to beer. When I got tired of beer, I turned to vodka. And bang, that was the beginning of the end. They said, you might as well keep drinking, drink yourself to death, because you're not gonna live more than a year. Well, that's 2 years ago, and I'm still here.
Shana, what's been the impact of Project 25 in its 3 years of existence?
Well, what we've been able to do is document before these individuals were in this housing first model, how much they were costing in emergency room, jail nights, hospitals, ambulance rides, and then document what that cost has been after they've been enrolled and participating in the program. And we've seen almost a 70% reduction in cost across all of those categories. Not to mention that we now have individuals who have a safe, stable place that they can call their home.
So this is a United Way funded program. Why isn't the program getting another 3-year grant?
So our initial intent was to prove that the housing first model could work here in San Diego. It's been a best practice in other communities, and looking at permanent supportive housing. How do we get individuals off the street into the homes and then bring them all the services that they need, which is a different model than saying you need to be sober or have addressed your mental illness before you can access our services. So our intent was that we partner with St. Vincent de Paul, as well as the county and the city and hospitals and all the other partners in this program, to prove that this could actually work for this population. And so we've been really pleased that it has been able to work. What we want to see now is a way to sustain this, because United Way doesn't have the ability to sustain it long term. But what we want to do is use the results that we've seen, the great progress, both on an aggregate level as well as the individuals like we just saw, to garner more support.
So Mark, by most accounts, Project 25 is successful. It's cut hospitalizations by 80%, saving taxpayers $2 million. Why not go to hospitals for funding of this program, continued funding?
Well, the hospitals have always been a very supportive partner in our work with Project 25, and they have expressed a lot of interest in the outcomes that we are getting. But currently, and with the passing of the Affordable Care Act, these folks probably won't be costing them money anymore. When they do show up in the emergency room, there'll be a ability to be able to get paid for their services now. And so possibly the intensity of the concern about saving the money has been kind of removed from that whole scenario, so to speak.
So without Project 25, though, what alternatives exist for this group of chronically homeless people?
You know, the groups that we currently serve, our program at St. Vincent de Paul Village and the county funded program Telecare, will of course adapt those clients and try to figure out a way to keep them housed under their housing vouchers. We don't want to see them lose housing, because the housing first approach is the first step in being able to stabilize them, is getting them into housing. They'll go right back to the street and right back to the hospitals if they lose their housing. We won't be able to give them the kind of attention that they need. The risk of them losing their housing or not get crisis addressed in the immediate moment is going to be more increased.
And we've got to wrap it there. Mark, Shana, thanks so much for coming on the program.